Right guys, welcome down to another episode of Tech Tuesday, your weekly question and answer about all things technologically advanced in golf. Let's go. Question from Mingchi 1984. Do wooden and plastic tees have different effects on the ball? Not really, no. You do get companies every now and again coming out with a new tee which is guaranteeing less resistance, straighter drives. Listen, the best players in the world, every world there is, the best players in the world just use wooden tees. So if the very best players in the world, the guys who look at the game inside out, are just using wooden tees, it's going to be okay. Question from Tom_Hanrahan10. What are the advantages of wearing high-end golf-specific clothing? Example, Galvin Green or Under Armour, #TechTuesday, #Quest for the Open. Well, the advantages are the materials that are used are generally better, not only for protection against rain, so the Galvin Green stuff I wear, you're not going to get wet whilst wearing the waterproofs, but the best thing about them is they're breathable and they're flexible at the same time. So you can get a very waterproof jacket for 30-40 quid and it will keep you dry. But the only problem is, will it allow you the flexibility and the movement to be able to hit golf shots successfully? And also, will it not cook you while you're wearing it? I've had some waterproof jackets in the past and some waterproofs in the past. I had some Ben Ross ones 3-4 years ago now, before YouTube, before I started managing to get some stuff for free, which is nice, and they were great at keeping you dry. But oh my god, after a few holes in the depths of winter, you had these waterproof bottoms on, and it didn't matter if it was raining, everything else was off because your lower half was absolutely cooking. So the best thing about the more high-tech stuff and the more expensive stuff generally is that it will be waterproof, it will be waterproof for longer, but it will also allow you to play the game better because of the flexibility and the way that it's designed. What difference does it make having a bladed iron to a normal iron, and also why did the pros use bladed irons and how does it help them? First of all, I've just done a review on the new iBlade versus the Ping I iron and the Ping G iron, which is coming very, very soon. But just as a quick example, these are a bladed type of iron with the Apex Pro and a full-on cavity bag. Now, first of all, you can see by the profile here how the G iron is much, much bigger, much, much wider with the sole, and club head design, how the G is also much, much bigger. Generally speaking, the bigger the iron head, the more forgiveness it is going to have. So the moment of inertia and the center of gravity on the Ping G iron is pushed right back and out to the sides. So if you strike a bad strike off the toe or off the heel, as long as it doesn't come out of the hosel, because then there's no chance of anything, you're going to get more forgiveness and more distance. If you compare that to a bladed iron, when you strike that out of the heel or the toe, you will get less forgiveness and it will feel a lot worse in the hands. The big difference is, especially with those type of clubs, a forged club versus a cast club, when you strike the forged club out of the center, it feels so nice for a start, but you have more workability over the ball. With a G iron, you can stand there and hit it all day with a reasonable swing, get it up in the air and get it out there. When it comes to controlling it in the wind, however, hitting a low punch and trying to fade and draw the shot, that becomes much more difficult. With a forged iron and with a bladed iron, that's what you have the chance to do. And that is why you see the top pros using the bladed clubs, because it allows them to have control and workability over the shots. You know, these guys who play on tour, the top players, they don't have any problem striking the ball when they're on form, but controlling the ball flight and working it left to right and right to left, that's what's important to them. Any advice for irons for a 24 handicap within the price range of 200 quid? Ethan.ashby_ on Instagram. Under 200 quid, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. I always find that if you're going to go for a full set of irons and you've only got 200 quid to spend, if you buy something new, you're almost guaranteed to get something of a better quality just second hand, or which has already been out for a few years. So if you only have that 200 quid market to spend, 200 price to spend, what I do is I take yourself out of the new market and I put yourself 2 years in the past. 2 years in the past, and from that period you are going to be able to pick up some fantastic irons. The fact is, a lot of iron technology, depending on what irons that you're looking for as well, Yeah, they haven't moved on a massive deal. Ping irons are a great example. I think the G iron is the first real advancement, or well, the G Max just before it, was the first real advancement in ping iron technology for 4 or 5 years. If you look at the G30, the G25, the G20, they were all fantastic irons and they were moving a little bits of weight around, but there weren't massive differences. And if you look at a G20 iron now, the full set, they offer pretty cheap prices. A great one is the Cleveland 588, the cavity backs. You can pick a full set of those up second hand for about 100 quid now, which is ridiculous. They're like 600 quid when they came out. So don't be afraid to shop around for second hand clubs. The only problem with that is that you're not guaranteed to get the correct spec for yourself. In an absolutely ideal world, you know your specifications of club makeup, so length and lie, and then you go shopping around that price and for those specs of clubs. If you're 8'4", it's very unlikely that you're going to get the right spec second hand. But shop around. Don't be afraid to go for a second hand club. Wesson 20, hey Pete, do you find that bladed clubs are generally producing less spin? I'm currently looking to move into bladed clubs. However, I'm worried about the distance drop off as I generate a lot of spin. I know this has a lot to do with technique, but also I would love to hear your opinion. Not so much. I mean, a lot of what a lot of manufacturers are doing now, this M2 is a perfect example. The loft on this 7 iron is very, very low. So the loft on this M2 7 iron is 28.5 degrees. 28.5 degrees, if you compare that to the iBlade, which I've been testing this morning, which is 34 degrees, is 5.5 degrees different. Now, if you look at this, you think, oh my goodness me, well, this is just going to go super, super low for a 7 iron. But what TaylorMade have done, you can see here in the design how they've shifted so much of the weight, so much of the center of gravity low and back and into around this area here, that they manage to get the ball launching very high. So you've got a high launching shot, but because of the loft, it's a low spinning iron. So these irons go really high, go really far, but they don't spin much. So you thinking about from shifting down to a big cavity back club to a bladed iron and worried it will produce less spin and then get less distance, it isn't quite right. If you manage to get low spin and a high launch, you will actually gain more distance. Generally with bladed clubs, you will spin the ball more. That's what I found when I hit shots. I do spin the ball quite a lot. The answer to this, as always, is make sure that you get custom fit. Don't just go out there and buy a set. Use your clubs, compare them to others, get yourself on a launch monitor and get fit. But don't think that if you're going to shift down to a bladed club, you're going to lose spin. Remember, a lot of these new clubs now, they are just looking to increase launch initially. Spin they're using in ways to gain more distance. Question here from Morris_D. Hi Morris, what is the most important fitting, manufacturer or both? Should I go to a big brand fitting centre, e.g. Titleist, or a shop who has all the manufacturers to try but less head shaft options? This is an interesting one. Obviously, from these videos and from this video, I always stress the importance of getting a fitting. It will give you the better option of really dialing down into your exact specifications. Getting fit at a fitting centre and then getting fit at a big superstore, for example, they can be very different experiences. In some respects, if you know what iron that you want, so if you're going for a Callaway blade and a Titleist blade, for example, both forged clubs, the fact is that both those clubs are going to be of exceptionally high quality and the difference between them won't be massive. They won't be huge. If you decide on one of them, so you say, I really like the Titleist, I want to go Titleist, and you go to the Titleist fitting centre, you're going to get a very high level of service. The fact is, if you've already made your mind up about what club you're going for, so the Titleist, you go down to the Titleist fitting centre, they all know there that you're going to buy the clubs. There's no need to try and sell you onto anything else. Sometimes I feel that if you go to a big chain golf club store, that they may be more geared towards selling a club with higher margins. It doesn't happen all the time, but I know it's happened in the past at places that I have worked at. So if you have fully decided on a club, then I would go to the National Fitting Centre. But then again, if you want the whole option and you don't know what you want, you're going to have to go to a shop or a centre with loads and loads of clubs. If you do that, just please make sure you take your own clubs, make sure they have a launch monitor, and that you can compare your clubs against everything else as well. That way you will know if you're getting the best deal and if you know you're getting the right clubs. Right guys, thank you so much for watching this week's Tech Tuesday. Stay tuned, loads of stuff coming this week, and Finch Friday, of course, on Friday in its new double segment. So thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on all of my other social media platforms in the link below. That is where I ask my questions for these Q&As. And we'll see you next time. Simple as that.